Fellow advocates, welcome back to the Growth Times Infinity podcast. And I have the esteemed pleasure of having Ozeal DeBastos on. He's actually a two-time guest. We're running this back. The first episode we did was strictly audio, but now we're running video. But let me tell you a little bit about Ozeal. He is the host of the Creative Factor. He is the proprietor of Pod Houston and Vid Houston also as well. He is the man when it comes to podcasting in the city of Houston. Ozeal, welcome back to the Growth Times Infinity podcast.
Amazing intro, brother. Thank you. It's good to be here, and I can't believe that this is that was my second time doing this. It was the first time it was audio. How long ago was that? That was what year was that? That was a long time ago.
Yeah, that had to have been 2021 or 2022, one of those.
Wow. Well, I want to give you your flowers, brother, because one of the things that I've been, I want to acknowledge you on, and just watching you from afar, is the consistency. I remember when you first launched this podcast, and you all the different versions you on the artwork and kind of the direction, and just watching it and watching you evolve to where it's at now, and just watching the consistency from going audio only to now doing video. Hey man, this is not an easy thing to do. Sustainability is not easy, and your consistency is respectable. I respect what you do, I admire your hustle and your grind and how you show up for your people, man. So you're a true professional, sir. I just want to give you your flowers and salute you for that.
I appreciate that, brother Ozeal, man. Yeah, you know what, man? You've been very helpful throughout the journey, throughout the process, being my coach and coaching me up and encouraging me and telling me and directing me and letting me know which way I needed to go. So I give you all the credit in the world for that. I appreciate you, bro. And that's the reason why I brought you on, man, because I explained to you what I'm doing for the month of June. Mm-hmm. Father's Day is coming up, second or third Sunday of this month of June. And along with that, what I wanted to do, I want to celebrate the month of June. I want to celebrate manhood. I want to celebrate fatherhood, that type stuff. And I invited you on because I saw what you've been doing with the Pod Houston community. I see what you do with your son. I see what you're doing with your job and your career. So I really appreciate you accepting this invitation because I wanted to bring you on and I wanted to celebrate you. That's the reason why I invited you on the Growth Times Infinity podcast for the series that I'm doing.
I received that, brother. I appreciate that. Like I said, it's a true pleasure. I'm honored to do this again.
Awesome.
I'm excited.
Awesome. Absolutely. One of the things I wanted to go over with you, man, is recently I noticed that you did Comic Palooza recently. So tell us about that.
Yeah, Comic Palooza. This was my third year doing it. And for those who are not aware of this event, if you live in Houston, this is kind of the equivalent to the big Comic-Con event that goes down in San Diego every year. So Comic Palooza is our Comic-Con version. Huge event. It's monumental, as you know, Reggie. It's huge events. It's a lot of celebrities come out and great panels. And Comic Palooza was one of the ones that the first. I don't know if FYI, it's a fun fact. One of the first kind of comic book oriented conventions that embraced podcasting back in the day, man. They've actually embraced and had podcast programs and tracks and panels for like over 7-8 years. So they've been in the game as well as far as supporting this medium. And just really honored. One of the members from Pod Houston, which I know we're going to talk about, also runs some of the major programs in Comic Palooza. So it's been really cool to meet him. And every year he's been reaching out to me to say, hey, I want Pod Houston to be a part of it. Would you mind being a panelist or speaker? So yeah, it's a true honor, man, just to be a part of a big event, and of course to be able to share game and share my passion for podcasting to that community. It's a whole different community. People who are into comic books and movie enthusiasts and a lot of hobbyists. And it's cool, man. Every single time I go there, I always meet a lot of really interesting niche podcasts that are popping up. So it's a different, untapped market, and any opportunity I get to share here in Houston, I'll definitely take advantage of it. So yeah, man, it was fun. Good times always, man. And we did Comic Palooza. Remember that?
Yeah, I was going to mention that. Mention that because
we have history.
Yeah. because you said this is your third year going, and I remember. So I know Pod Houston had a panel that I was involved
Yeah,
in.
that's right.
That was the first year. I didn't realize that was 3 years ago.
You know what, Reggie? I need to go back, man. It may be longer. It may be longer. I want to say it might be. It's been, yeah. Maybe it's longer than that. Yeah, because
That's
I
what I
remember.
thought.
Was that the year that we did with R2D2 Crash Star Party? Was that one the year? I don't know if you were in that part of that panel. But there was a
Yeah,
panel.
that's what it was.
Was that it?
Yep. Yep.
That was for those who don't know. I'll share a little funny story. And to this day, Reggie, that was probably one of my favorite podcast panel speaking moments, where we were doing a panel, and out of nowhere on the right side, we see this robot kind of sneak in on the side, and it stopped the panel. And we all looked to the side, and it was R2D2. Crashing the podcast panel, and I still have that picture where we're all kind of like looking over, kind of starstruck, looking at R2D2 crash our party. So that was fun times, man. But yeah, that's right. You were part of that panel, and that was probably one of my, by far, probably my favorite panel. That was monumental because that was Pod Houston, that was the community, that's us, and it was just such a. I think that was actually our first panel together. That was a part of at Comic Palooza. So yeah, man, some good memories there, man. That was fun.
For sure. Man, you know what? I wanted to ask you. We've been knowing each other for, what is it, 2017, 2018?
Man, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe, I was kind of I was thinking about that, and I was looking back on it, and I've been to numerous Pod Houston events, and I believe I started going to the third one. And that's where we met. That's where we met.
Do you remember which one? Which one was it? What venue?
It was. I always remember the speaker was Madeline Schuyler. And
that was
I don't
the one
remember the
with,
venue.
Was in the Heights area. I think that might have been the new creative studio in the Heights. I've done so many events, man. I forgot, but I remember that one, and I think it was the new creative in the Heights area. So okay, so that was your first one. All right, so that was a while back, man.
Yep, for sure,
man.
sure.
You OG, Reggie, an OG, my man.
Hey, we getting up there. Yes, sir. OG status for sure.
Oh, for sure.
So let me ask you about podcasting, man. And the first thing I want to ask you, when you first got into podcasting, what type of work were you doing?
The type of work that I was doing when I got into podcasting, that's a great question. I was freelancing. Yeah, I was doing social media marketing, Reggie. I was doing social media marketing. During that time, it was really interesting, and I'm not sure if I mentioned this. So I had gotten laid off. I was working for a market research company. I had been there for a minute, and as a data analyst in market research. And as soon as that transition was out, I got laid off, and they shut down, and had an opportunity to move to Omaha, Nebraska. And I was like, nah, I can't do Omaha, Nebraska. Sorry, I have too much love for H-Town. So I ended up passing on that. So from there, man, I really, during that time I was working corporate, I was also a musician. I was an MC for a hip hop band. And that was kind of like where my passion was music and performance. And when I was doing that, during that time, I learned a lot about branding, organizing events, selling tickets, just straight up guerrilla marketing. I was reading a lot of books on entrepreneurship. So really, that's where I was kind of piquing my interest. And I was kind of, even looking back, that's really where I was kind of sharpening my tools, and didn't realize how much passion and interest that I had for entrepreneurship. So when the job, when that was done, I was like, what's next? And from there, I was like, I really, I got introduced to, freelance. And I was like, I really love marketing. What can I do? And a friend of mine was like, you'll be good at social media marketing. You're pretty good at that, and doing digital marketing. So I really got heavy into, learning digital marketing, social media marketing. So I was doing a lot of freelance work. And from there, during that time, because I wanted to learn so much about entrepreneurship even more, I bumped into two podcasts that was a game changer. This was probably like 2011, 2012. It was a show called Mixergy. I remember the host his name was Andrew Warner was his name. And I believe, I'm not sure if it's still around, but he's an OG. And he was actually doing video. It's funny, people talk about video, but he was doing video back then. And there was another show called Rise to the Top. David Sykes, I believe it was the name, and also video. And anyways, man, so it was all talking about entrepreneurship. There were interview-based shows. They were interviewing successful entrepreneurs. And man, I fell in love with entrepreneurship, Reggie. Like I was learning it. I was freelancing it. And I was like, yo, this podcasting thing, I really like what they're doing. And David, as a matter of fact, one of the guys from the Rise to the Top show, he had a course on launching your own podcast. So I was part of the course, learned it, and then started my first podcast. Probably about 2013 was when I started my show. 2013, 2014 ish, started my first show. So yeah, man, that was kind of my introduction. Was just basically my love from the mic, from being a musician, my curiosity to learn more about entrepreneurship, and then just having the opportunity to give myself permission to start a show and then help other creatives learn more about entrepreneurship, about branding, about business. I was just so like enamored by this new world that I was introduced to. I was reading books like 4 Hour Work Week and, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So my mind was already there. And this was an opportunity for me not to only learn and interview people who I admire as entrepreneurs, but also, give back to the community, which were creatives. So I was giving back to the creative culture. So yeah, I was even doing it back then, man. So yeah, that's a little bit of the background, what I was doing.
Okay.
Back in the day.
All right. That's what's up, man. That's interesting, man. So I asked you that to ask you this. So you started off, you was when you first started podcasting, you mentioned you was freelancing. Shortly before that, you did some marketing. Mm-hmm. So what are you doing now as far as your job and your career?
Marketing.
Okay.
Marketing. Now, I am doing it. So, it's interesting, man, that I love marketing, and I really took marketing and branding is my jam. And I started learning a lot more about it, as the years passed. After, the freelance world, I worked for a podcast agency, and then I transitioned out of that. And then currently right now, I'm a podcast marketing manager for a major faith-based podcast network. And I get to learn each and every day. I get to learn the ins and outs of the advertising world, the money coming in, how podcasters are making money. I get to consult on a daily basis, or at least, every other time whenever we have partners that need help. Wear many, many hats in this role. I'm learning so much about podcasting on a whole different level on the business side of things. So that's essentially what I'm doing, man. We have over 60 shows that we manage. And any given day we're in the trenches, working with podcasters. So this is my day gig, and I'm just so honored and blessed. And honestly, Reggie, looking back, brother, like I wouldn't have if you would have asked me like, oh, you have like a day gig doing podcasting, I would have been like, nah, because I remember whenever podcasting was going on, it was like 2012, 2013, 2014, it was popping. And then probably like 2017, 2018, there was a little bit of a dip, and we weren't sure if it was going to be sticking around, if it was a fad, or if this is something that's going to fade away. And then, the opposite happened. Podcasting has grown. You're seeing it, obviously now with video and, YouTube adopting podcasting, giving it the huge platform that it has been doing for the past, couple years. At Netflix, embracing, adopting podcasts, now having it part of their major programming, and just seeing networks pop off. I mean, it's a $9.2 billion industry now. So it's crazy to see it grow, as a baby. And it's still young, bro. It's still young. And it's cool to be, I'm honored and I'm grateful to have a job that allows me to do what I love. It's every day I wake up and I enjoy what I do. Why? Because I was podcasting for the love of it way before it was a monetizable thing. So, yeah, man, that's my long-winded reply of like what I do. And I'm so grateful. Like every day I'm grateful for what I do, man, and this opportunity to help other podcasters grow and monetize their shows.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to bring up because you shared that with me some time ago. And I was just thinking, man, Brother Ozeal, you're truly living a dream. And you actually been living the dream for quite some time. You mentioned that you started off freelancing and then you did social media marketing. You had that going on as well. And you mentioned marketing and branding just being your jam, being your baby. and it went from social media to music to podcasting.
Yeah.
And you've been living the dream for quite some time, brother, man. So can't too many people say that, because it's like a lot of times with us, we have like a regular 9 to 5. We doing a job that pays the bills, take care of the family. And then when we get away from that, we're working on our dream, whether it's podcasting, content creating, whatever entrepreneur business that you have. But you've been living that dream for quite some time. You've been living it longer than most, I feel like.
Never. I mean, that's perspective, and I appreciate you seeing that. I never thought about it like that. I'm in the moment, and I'm grateful for the job that I have, and that I know it's in my zone of genius, and I'm grateful for it. But yeah, now that you put it that way, bro. Yeah, I have been doing it for a long time, as far as freelancing and kind of doing things on my own terms. And things have been rough. Entrepreneurship is a roller coaster ride, as you know. Whether you have a day job, but you have a side hustle, and you're building a brand, a platform, a podcast, and you're doing other things on YouTube. And entrepreneurship is definitely a roller coaster ride. So I had my bumps, and lots of disappointment and failures and lessons learned, rather, of just the school of hard knocks of what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. And even like, I still have a day job, and I get to sharpen up my tools. At the end of the day, my core is still an entrepreneur. And I feel like we're living in this new era, Reggie, where the creator economy has grown so much that I even feel like there's an opportunity even for creators like you and other people who may be watching or listening, who are interested in getting into these spaces of like jobs that are looking for creator-led skill sets. So I think if you're a podcaster, trust me, there's corporations and companies and podcast agencies and networks that are looking for you, that need your help. And we need creators there's companies now that are hiring in-house creators to do in-house production. So we're living in an interesting era where, if you're a creator, this is a really good opportunity, if not only to continue doing your thing, building your brand, but also, get a job that allows you to get paid to do the things you already are doing that you love to do. So it's really cool to be able to see that from the outside looking in.
Yeah, I've noticed that with a lot of big companies, including the one that I work for, they are bringing in content creators and
Oh, they are.
podcasters, that type
Yeah.
thing, to promote their brand. It seemed like that's the direction that it's going in right now.
Man, I'm seeing this a lot more, Reggie. Content marketing is the game. Content. The content game is the wealth game. And what I mean by that is that a company, a founder, solopreneur, you cannot ignore the fact that the way to market to where the consumer and audience are receiving the content online, on their phones and on Netflix and on Apple, on the internet, is through content. Content is just, that's where it's at. So I think we're seeing a lot more companies see that and say, oh, because before, the pushback that I used to get, even as a podcast consultant and a coach, when I would work with businesses, is what's the ROI? And, I always thought that question was always a valid question, and valid pushback. I get it, because sometimes even tracking what success are, tracking KPIs and all that, it was hard for even podcasters to be able to say, hey, this podcast is working, right? But now podcast has evolved to where now we could do attribution links and really share, how successful a podcast platform is performing, just from a brand, performance standpoint, and just brand marketing. And what I mean by that is that, the brands that are winning, Reggie, and I'm seeing this even when I talk to people in different corporates, are the ones that are embracing content marketing, and the ones that have shows and podcast shows and have YouTube channels. Those are the ones that are really elevating and standing out on brand, versus the ones that are just doing basic social media marketing and running ads. It's just, that game is over, man. The winners are having conversations. They're sharing the conversations via a podcast. They're sharing value via video and YouTube content. Those are the ones that are winning the game. And if the ROI now is like, well, the ROI is based off your commitment and your willingness to start waking up and start seeing that your audience is now, that dentist is, if the ones who's doing a YouTube channel or podcast, they're building trust with their potential clients simply because they're out branding. They're out branding all the other brands that are trying to play defense and say, oh, well, we don't want to pay that game because there's no ROI. We just want to continue running billboards and print ads. The game doesn't work anymore, and it's crazy to see it evolve. And yeah, man, that's why I'm really bullish on podcasting, on YouTube, and just content marketing, period. That if you're not creating content, no matter what it is, it doesn't have to be a podcast. If you're not creating content, you're losing the game. And it's not going anywhere. So yeah, I'm really excited about where content marketing is heading.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on it? Are you seeing it too?
Yeah, I was gonna say most definitely.
You've been in it for a while, yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense because it's like it's a process, but at the same time, it's very convenient because everybody has their phone in their hand.
That's right.
They're in front of a computer, they're in front of a tablet, some type of device. So it's very convenient for people to see that, and it's like it's in the palm of their hands, basically. So it's like, and it's an easier reach for sure. So it makes a whole lot of sense to go about that process of branding and marketing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
So, we talk about your job, your career, living a dream, that type of stuff. And I also noticed what you've been doing on your social media is that you're getting back to some of your side ventures that you used to do, like DJing and bartending, right?
You're pulling out all my tricks, man. You just put it all out there, Reggie.
So,
man.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that.
So here's a funny story about private bartending. That was another thing that I did. So when I was side hustling and when I was freelancing, one of the first side hustles that I did that was very profitable was private event bartending, a mobile bartender. And essentially what that is basically, you're a bartender for hire. And I would do a lot of weddings and private events and birthday parties, etc. Had a great time. I mean, there was definitely, good money to be made. It was a lot of hustle, a lot of late nights, but good money to be made. And I remember whenever I started doing it, there was one night when I came home and I was like, people were asking me, like, yo, you do this? And how do you do it? How do you do it? And that's all it took. It just piqued my interest or piqued my curiosity. I was like, I said, what if I, teach people how to become private event bartenders? So I'm not sure if you knew this, but I actually had which you can look on Amazon. I've created an ebook called Side Hustle Bartending, which I sold. That was kind of like an ebook that I sold. That was my, I was getting into kind of like, all right, let me go ahead and, create digital products and just package what I know and teach others. So, I was doing event bartending for many, many years. And as a matter of fact, I was able to, pay off, my debt. I was $16,000 in debt through the music career, which, doesn't seem like a lot, but it was a lot for me. And I was able to pay it off like less than a year and a half through event bartending. I got out of debt. And so all through the side hustle, and don't do it much anymore. I'll occasionally come out of retirement, shake up a couple cocktails every now and then for some special clients. And I enjoy doing it. I mean, it's social. I work remote. There's a lot of, I don't have a lot of social interactions outside of what I do on a day-to-day basis. So it's always kind of fun to get out and just connect with people, network, and just have fun, make drinks, make people happy. So I don't do it as much as I used to. To the DJing thing, that's something I took up not too long ago. It's just fun. I've been, occasionally do some DJing. I'm still learning. I'm not, nowhere near a pro or semi-pro. I just do it for fun. But I'm learning. But, one of the things that it's really interesting, Reggie, and I think somebody who's watching or listening, really the importance of having a hobby, the importance of making sure that you're always growing. I know, obviously, growth times infinity. There's this growth element. And I think so as we get older and as we become parents and as we get more, domestic obligations and responsibilities, we kind of lose our sense of our identity, of ourselves. And it's so easy to get in this, hamster wheel of just doing the same old thing over and over again. And there was, a couple years ago, man, I was like, I want a hobby. Like, and I've, I love what I do in marketing and branding. So my hobby really was learning, but I was like, I really want to do something different. Like, I got to do something, whether it's picking up a sport or picking up something different. And so I was like, DJing sounds really cool. It's music. It's I love music. There's a performance element, which kind of, tickles that kind of bone with, performing in front of a crowd and making people feel good and community. And it's all like wrapped up in all the things that I love. And so yeah, man, just picked up some lessons, one on YouTube, got myself a little DJ controller, started learning about how to set it up. And it's been fun, man. I've been doing it for a couple of years now, about 2-3 years, just for fun. And yeah, man, so I encourage everybody who's watching, listening. Yeah, definitely, if you feel like things are becoming stale in your life, just pick up a hobby, do something fun. I think it's really important not to lose yourself and to make sure that we don't get caught up in the day to day and just do something different, challenge yourself to do something fun. And yeah, so that's what DJ brought to me, some funness in my life. So I'm enjoying it, brother. So if you have a DJ, party coming up, DJOz.com. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just playing.
Oh, hey, we got you. I got you locked in. You already said it. Hey, I approve that message. But
watch out.
Yeah, but I love what you said about hobbies, man, and I'm a firm believer in that. I actually heard it. I don't know if it was this morning. I heard it earlier this week. It was a reminder of hobbies. One should have 3 types of hobbies, like one that pays you, one that keeps you active, and one that keeps your mindset going. So, and I think those are the 3. I think those are the 3 ones that keep you active, one that pays you, and the one that helps with your brain, basically. So, so I feel like you are pretty much doing, as far as your hobbies, they kind of align with that. You got a hobby that pays you. You got a hobby, and I know another thing, you're good at working out as well. I feel like that's one of your hobbies, that you be in the gym working out. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's something that keeps us active, man, that type stuff. So yeah, I'm most definitely, man. I echo those sentiments as far as the hobbies, man. Just, they're very good to have, because like you say, man, we have this routine life, as you mentioned, we running on this hamster wheel, especially when you got a family, and we do have a tendency to lose our identity, as you mentioned, man. And it's good to kind of step out and have something else going on in your life besides, family and your job and that type stuff. So I'm definitely a firm believer in that.
What are you doing for fun these days?
These days, so one of my hobbies, I don't know if you knew this, but I was a official. I'm a high school and middle school football and basketball official. I don't know if I ever shared that with you.
Yeah. I remember you mentioned that to me. You still doing that? You still? Wow, I love it.
Yeah. So that's actually a hobby that keeps me active and it pays me. So, I kind of got the best of both worlds in regards to that. So I've been doing that for 5 years. So yeah, I really enjoy it, man. So not only being active, man, just being out there, with the kids, watching them do their thing, watching them compete and have fun, that type stuff. So I love it, man. I really love that. Another hobby that I do, I love to read. I love to write. I've been doing a lot of journaling lately. So I've been doing a lot of writing. That's one of my hobbies as well. So yeah, that's something that I really enjoy. I really enjoy.
Podcasting. Would you consider podcasting in
Absolutely.
that bucket of hobby? Yeah.
Absolutely. Podcasting, getting back into that. I've been off of it for a while, but I'm getting back into it. It's definitely been one of my hobbies since January 2020.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, most definitely.
6 years, Reggie. That's wow. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, man. Hey, man. Praise the Lord.
Amen.
Yes, sir. Amen. Yes, sir. So, one of the other things I noticed about you online is that you are a single father. You have a son, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Would you like to share your journey? Would you like to share your journey as a single father? Share a little bit about it.
Oh man, where do we begin? Fatherhood is. There's no manual book for fatherhood. I think one of the things about fatherhood, that has taught me a lot. I think fatherhood is the best form of personal development for a man. It teaches you a lot. It teaches you a lot about patience. It teaches you a lot about thinking outside of yourself. When you have when you're looking at your kids, you look at it from a different set of lens. And sometimes it takes a minute for you to be able to cultivate that mindset to really think about how can you best show up for your kids. Mm-hmm. And it's taken me, some time. I mean, I've there's been moments of guilty, obviously being an entrepreneur, being divorced and not being able to, spend so much time with him. But whenever I do have him, making the most of it. It's been challenging, but it's also been one of the most rewarding things in my life, man. It's he's 9 years old now. He's seeing him grow up and just now getting to a point where piquing his interest and what are you curious about, what do you want to learn. And recently he's taken a liking to fishing. He likes fishing. Daddy never liked, I never, I used to do some crabbing back in the day in the Galveston, but my father used to take me. But, he likes fishing and just, seeing him, be around the big kids and, swimming and just, seeing him just kind of be a kid. It's really cool, man, just to be able to see that. And again, just learning, from him, the most. I mean, I think, again, it's just a personal development, 101 there, just rediscovering a lot of things that, even, I've noticed that whenever you're a father, you start seeing things that you lacked as a kid, that you grew up. I started, looking at like how my father, some of the things that he did, and some of the things that he didn't do. And then I feel like it gives you a good opportunity to be able to fix those things, fix those holes, and, whether it's emotionally, mentally. But the most important thing, Reggie, is just being present. I feel like, with our kids, I think one of the things that you look back, even looking back at my childhood, it was more of like just being present. Kids really don't, sure, my son loves to go to the movies and loves to do all these things. And I remember when I would have him on the weekends, I would try to feel like I need to go spend a lot of money and go, extra and do all the things. And I realized, man, it has nothing to do with that, bro. It's just matters. It's just all about being present, being there. Simple things, playing a board game, just listening, asking questions, teaching him, basic stuff. This is how you make, toast, and this is how, just teaching them just really basic things, how you tie your shoe, and, this is how you do push-ups. And those are the priceless things. And I think those are the things that have really helped me as a man, just to slow down and be present. And again, just be patient. And to listen, become a better listener as well. Instead of thinking fatherhood, man, we try to instruct and try to dictate a lot. My father was a bit like that. Was a man of control and just kind of like, I want to, and there's a little bit of there's a difference between, leading, your child and making sure that they make their own mistakes, but you correct them. We're there to correct, but also giving them that space to be who they are, making sure that, they have their own name for a reason. Their name is not Reggie or Ozeal. They got their own names. They got their own identity, which means they got their own path in life. Right. And making sure you step away and let them grow into that path. Yeah, man, those are kind of some things that it's been the journey for sure. And and I'm blessed and I'm grateful, and it's the most rewarding thing any man, any woman, anybody who could experience. But yeah, fatherhood is a beautiful thing, and I'm just grateful that I have this opportunity to call myself a father and be his father, more importantly. So yeah, man. Yeah, you got me going about. I really don't talk about fatherhood, man. So that they got me going. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, man. That's why, I wanted to celebrate you, man. I got so many takeaways from what you said about that, man. First, the personal development aspect of it, man. You're definitely on point with that, man. It's like you're developing yourself from not only being a man but being a father as well. Mm-hmm. And being present, that truly resonated with me, because it's like I was just thinking about something. Unfortunately, there are a lot of men that are in situations where they're paying child support because, for whatever reason, man, it could be some things between the mom and the dad or whatever the case may be. But you mentioned being present, man, the way I see it is like time is more precious than money. It's so easy to pay child support, for your kid and, support them that way. But just being there for them is more beneficial to me than just paying the mom to take care of the kids. And then some guys don't really have an opportunity and a chance to see their kids like they want to. But there are men that are doing great like yourself. Whenever you get that opportunity with your son, you're making the best of it. You're making the best of your time. And I really admire you for that, man. That was well put. That was awesome, man. And I know, I see it on social media. Every time you have your son, you're doing something. You're always doing something. You're maximizing your time with him, and I've seen that. And that was one of the reasons why I reached out to you and invited you for this series, man. So I just want to let you know you're doing an amazing job as a dad, as a man. We're celebrating fatherhood. We're celebrating manhood, man. So
That's right.
once again, man, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing that story about your son, about your journey as a single father. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Well, thank you for giving me the platform to share it, man. Shout out to all the dads. I said, I think, like I mentioned earlier, just there's no manual, there's no blueprint. It's just a matter of just making sure that you're there and being present and learning taking the lessons that, fatherhood teaches you and just get better every single time, but yeah, it's a blessing, man. So yeah, shout out to all the dads out there. It's not easy. It's not easy because I feel like as men, there's a lot of, added pressure to show up differently, in different ways, and being able to manage different emotions and still kind of be present and still deliver. It's get a lot of criticism sometimes, but as far as men, just in general. But shout out to all the men that show up for the kids and just are there to, be present, and be there as dads. So. Yeah, man. Shout out to you, man. I mean, what has fatherhood taught you about yourself? I mean, you're obviously very big into personal development. What's been the biggest lesson of it? Because you're a father of, I believe, what, two kids,
and
two
they're
kids.
adults.
Okay.
They're adults. So it's for me.
I could
It's
probably learn from you, brother.
for me, it's different because my daughter, she's older. She's 30 years old, man. She's doing her thing. She's in the Special Olympics, man. So as far as the being present part, I take pride in that because our daughter, she does Special Olympics. I mean, she competes in volleyball, track and field. She's
awesome,
doing
man.
soccer right now. So I definitely have the opportunity to be present for her. Like, I've been very fortunate. Every time she has a practice, every time she has a competition, 9 times out of 10, I'm there. And the same thing with my son. I was homeschooling our son up until he's 22 now. Mm-hmm. So another thing I learned about that is just being patient. Just being patient because it's like, he's an adult now, and I have to trust that I instilled in him what he needed in order to go through life. Mm-hmm. And he was struggling for a little bit, but he's getting back on his feet, and that's why I had to learn patience. There were times I wanted to step in and say something, and I just had to remind myself, he's an adult. I just have to trust. I just have to sit back, let him live his life, and just trust. And he's on his way back, man. He's really doing his thing. He's making me proud too. So that's what I've learned. That's what I've learned.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that. And yeah, kudos to you, man. That's beautiful. And to be able to reflect back, I'm sure you can see, I mean, there's a lot of stories and lessons that you've learned, and I'm sure some valuable lessons that have been instilled in them that they remember. They know who daddy is, and they know you're there for them. So that's I respect that, man. I love that. I love that. Yeah,
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So with everything that you have going on, as I mentioned, we celebrating manhood, we celebrating fatherhood for the month of June. With everything that you have going on, we also want to recognize the month of June as Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. So I want to ask you, what are you doing to manage your mental health?
Wow. First of all, I love that you're bringing up this topic because there's a stigma when it comes to men, as that men can be vulnerable, and mental health and manhood always was like this oxymoron. Like, you can't, men can't talk about feelings and be vulnerable and share things about what goes on here, and obviously everything that ties up with the emotion side of staying grounded and making sure that we operate to the fullest, as men, as fathers, as men in the household, and just entrepreneurs and everything else we got going on, right? Hobbies and all that stuff. It's a lot. So one of the things, man, about mental health, you were talking about, we're asking about what do I do? Therapy, man. I think therapy is super important. I think sometimes, I think I love how now before, therapy used to look, be frowned upon as, people who just were really mentally unstable, and people who went to therapy were the ones that were like broken. I think that, I think especially in this day and age, brother, with so much going on, and so I feel like there's so much added pressure, it's changed. And I think that, mental health, it needs to be prioritized. It needs to be something that should be part of anybody's pillars, of value, of really making sure that not only they taking care of themselves spiritually, physically, but also mentally, and so, yeah, man, I'm a big believer, advocate of therapy, finding a good therapist, having a great support system, being selfish sometimes, taking care of yourself, do things that really light you up, having, a partner and doing things, whether it's a podcast or going working out or, refereeing or taking daily evening walks, for yourself, and going to the movies by yourself, going to dinner, just really loving yourself, man. I think one of the things that I wish men love to do is just, loving themselves a lot more, and really kind of making sure that they're not hiding behind a facade of this, being a masculine, all the time. I think it's okay to kind of let loose, man, and be vulnerable, and, shed a tear if you need to, or just do things for yourself, that doesn't relate to your family. Just do things for yourself. You got to take care of yourself. And I think it's really important for men to really embrace that. So, yeah, man, I'm really big on that. Self-love, therapy, reading books. One of the things I've been kicking around is, being, surrounding myself around other men. I think I think we're probably going to see a movement of more men getting together to be able to share, stories and lessons on fatherhood and relationships and everything going on in life. So, yeah, I would love to see that, man, more. And I think I'm seeing that there's more of a movement and more of a calling for men to be able to get together. I know I was a part of this local group not too long ago when it was just men, and I forgot the name of it, man. But they would get together on Saturdays and actually during the week, like group of men working out together at a park. It was beautiful, man. It was beautiful. It was just a community of men, just, and everybody taking care of each other and, playing like, games and volleyball and somebody would bring coffee and somebody would cook, and it was super dope. So yeah, I think it's super important to make sure you're around a good group of men as well, to be able to take care of your mental health. But yeah, man, tons of resources, just definitely encourage if you're a man listening, watching, I think you got to make sure you take care of your mental health. Super important. And if you are looking for support, I mean, there's a ton of resources and support out there. So make sure you reach out. I'm sure there's a man out there who could help you out. And you could start with a friend, a family member. But yeah, there's a ton of resources out there. Resources out there to be able to help you with your mental health. So yeah, man, that's kind of my take on it. What's your take on mental health, man? And as far as as it relates to just being a man, how has it helped you? What are you doing to take care of yourself? If you don't mind me sharing.
Oh yeah. As for me, man, I mentioned, reading. Well, I'm going to start right here. For me personally, it's talking to God, man.
Come on, man. Amen.
That really helps me with my mental health, man. It's like,
Amen.
I mean, I can talk to my wife, I can talk to anybody else, but when I talk to God, man, it's like for me, it just brings a calm. It really does, man. Yeah. Meditation, prayer, that type of stuff, man.
Absolutely.
And as you mentioned, therapy, me personally, I haven't gone through therapy. Well, God is my therapy first and foremost. But I absolutely, I will sign off on what you said, because third party credibility, I firmly believe in that, man. I believe that you should talk to a licensed therapist whenever it's needed. Mm-hmm. Self-love, I'm all for that as well. Know who you are, and stand strong, stand 10 toes in who you are, man, and love yourself for it unapologetically. Mm-hmm. And community, I know we've talked about community before as far as like podcasting. You have Pod Houston, you have Vid Houston, and that was something else I wanted to bring up with you as far as you being a dad, being a man, surrounding yourself with other men. Community is so important. You know, whether it's like going to a men's conference, you can belong to a men's Bible study. You mentioned the men who work out together. Just meeting up with men in general, man. It's community is very key. I feel like those three aspects, you know, the therapy, whether it's God, whether it's a physical, not a physical therapist, but a licensed therapist, self-love and community. Those are three keys.
I love that.
To managing your mental health. I firmly believe that.
Yeah. And thank you. And let me I'll definitely backtrack on this because I felt to mention that faith has been a major power move in my world, especially for the past 2 to 3 years. I've deepened in my faith with God and talk to God, not in a really prayer format, but really talk to God, just like I'm talking to you, and I have my evening walks where I'll walk, and there's this nice bridge where I'll go there and just sit back, and there's sunset and I'm talking to God, and it's been helping me, getting back into reading the Bible, getting back to scripture, getting back to the roots. Yeah, man, I think faith is really important, no matter what religion or spiritual path that anybody takes. I think having alignment with God first and foremost. You're right. That's the greatest therapist right there, is that spiritual therapy. You know what I mean? That's a root. That's the core. So, yeah, thank you for dropping that, man. Absolutely. I just want to make sure that I celebrate my faith, because it's definitely been a game changer for me, especially for, like I said, the past 3-4 years. It's definitely shifted a lot in my life, for sure.
For sure. That's awesome. Yep. That's awesome. All right, Mr. Ozeal DeBastos, man. I appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you coming in.
This is fun.
Yes. Bro. Is there anything you want to promote? Oh, you know what? Let me ask you, man. When is the next Pod Houston event?
The Pod Houston event. Yeah, if you're in Houston, so I'm gonna. Nothing's set just yet, but there will be one more. You missed the last one, man. We missed you at the last event. It was about a month ago? Was it May?
Something like that. Yeah.
It was in May. The beginning of May. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we're probably looking at maybe August. September. But yeah, more information if you're interested, just shameless plug, the Pod Houston Facebook group is where you can go there. If you're a podcaster or interested in podcasting, join the Facebook group. Reggie's in the house. He's in there. Great group, and we also have Vid Houston, which we've been kind of quiet on that end lately, but I'm looking to get back into just community, man. Community. I think it's I've always been about community. I think we're going to continue seeing a lot more investment in in-person events, with this whole virtual world happening, AI, in-person events, in real life. We're going to see more of that. So I'm going to continue doing that and probably double down on getting back into more frequent meetups. So be on the lookout for that, sir. And everybody else watching and listen.
All right. We will be on the lookout. Anything else you want to push, promote, how people can connect with you?
Yeah, so at The Real Ozeal on social. I do have a podcast that's currently on hiatus. I'm a little sneak peek. I'm bringing back my OG podcast, No Permission Needed, and the reason, I'm bringing it back, brother. I haven't dropped it yet. So you got Growth Times Infinity exclusive right here, man.
All right,
but I'm bringing it back because I feel like now is a time in need to talk about mental health and talk about personal development more, especially in the journey that I've been in. I want to help other men, creatives, really navigate this world of mental health and personal development. So I'm excited to kind of get back behind the mic and start maybe connecting with you and talking with other people about it. And so I'm really, really looking forward to that, man. I miss podcasting, man. I feel like I help other people. Now it's time for me to get back on the mic. I was doing Creator Factor for a minute, but I feel like No Permission Needed was still my baby. It's my brand, and I feel like that's kind of like my legacy podcast. So I'm bringing it back. So stay tuned for that.
Love it, man. Love it. No Permission Needed, man. I'm looking forward to that. And I got to tell you, man, with Ozeal, if you want to start a podcast, you got to get with Coach Ozeal. You got to get with him. And I feel like right now we're at a point right now.
Yeah.
That's the way it always been, to start a podcast, to get with Ozeal. But I feel like you're at a point, you call yourself the OG, I call you the OG. Anything podcast related, not only to start a podcast, but anything podcast related, connect with Ozeal DeBastos.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. I received that. Thank you so much
He'll
for that.
direct you in the right path for sure.
Appreciate you, man. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Yes, sir. So we out of here. Until the next time, keep growing and keep going.
Peace. Yo.
All right. All right. That's it.